Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
Well, one of my heroes is gone. You're listening to him, B.B. King. He died at age 89. I should be so talented as he, but this man kept going and going and going, performing into his 80s. A relentless touring schedule well into his 80s. And the beauty of B.B. King was not only the art, by the way, but he grew up a sharecropper's son, and the government didn't help him learn how to play the guitar. There were no government lessons, no government guitars, no government teachers, no affirmative action. He was just a greatly talented man who turned out to be a great musician, and the government didn't have to help him. There's a story right there. Born in the Delta, sharecropper's son. Read his story. It's an amazing story. And it's a story for all of us, by the way. We can learn from it. Now, of course, you all want to talk about someone else, not B.B. King. You want to talk about George Staphylococcus, who is now as toxic as a bacterium. George Staphylococcus, too glib to fail. Be stolen before it leaves my breath. Guarantee you that before it leaves my breath, it will be on other shows. But you heard it here first, because nobody can turn a phrase or a name faster than I, Michael Savage. So, you know, the George Staphylococcus story, he's too glib to fail. They're not firing him. There's an embarrassment here. Not only for him, of course, but did you ever think he was not a Democrat operative? Did you ever think that a goodly percentage of those in the media are Democrat operatives? With a few on the other side, by the way. I mean, if you look at, what's his name, the guy who looks like an SA officer with glasses on Fox News who worked for Bush's brain, Carl Jung, what's his name? Karl Rove. Karl Rove, of course, is a Republican political operative. All right, there's a difference. I get it. You know he's a political operative when he speaks. That's why there's a scandal, because George Staphylococcus didn't disclose he gave money to the Clintons. Now, the question is, what did he want for the money? What do I know? Access. Who knows what he wanted? I don't know what he wanted, but I'm not going to get worked up over George Staphylococcus today like it's the most important story. Big deal. Big deal. You know he's going to go on. He's too glib to fail. ABC's not firing him. Who's the guy with the yellow dyed hair on MSNBC who was always a Democrat operative? The one who felt a thrill. The guy who felt a thrill go up his leg when Obama became president. An embarrassment. Yeah, that guy Chris, the drunk on, what I know his name. I didn't want to mention his name, but I'm saying it's filled with hacks. The media is filled with hacks who are working for one party or the other. And by the way, while we're talking about George Staphylococcus and him giving money to the Clinton Library, I'm sorry, look, how do you feel about talk show hosts who continuously have Republican candidates on in the form of Plugola? I mean, should they disclose they're going to vote for that person? I felt uncomfortable about this for years. I even complained about it once. You notice I rarely have any guests on this show who are politicians, almost never. Did you notice that? There's a reason for it. The reason is that if I have a continuous stream of Republican candidates on my show, how am I different than George Staphylococcus? And frankly, I think it's a violation of FCC rules, if you want to know the truth. I mean, if you have a stream, let's say you're a lib and you're on the media, in a medium, one of the mediums, whatever it may be, and you have Dems on all the time, is that not a form of plugola? You're plugging a candidate for free. Shouldn't they pay for that time? Same on the other side of the aisle. So, I'm concerned about a rotten system from the top to the bottom. And I think I've said all I want to say on it. There are many other stories I'm going to cover today, and it's open mic to Mike Friday, interestingly enough. 855-407-282. I'll repeat the number, 855-407-282. It's open mic to Mike Friday. I have other stories. I mean, the stories of the week were great today, this week. And we can talk about them or something new. The blues legend B.B. King is a great story. But here's something I think is more personal. The Amtrak engineers' online rants came out. Remember the one who drove the train at 106 miles an hour into the curve, or you forgot it already? I heard the attention span of the average American now is 3 minutes, if that long. 30 seconds, rather. Yeah, 30 seconds is the attention span of the Twitter generation. I think that's longer. I was told 7 seconds, incidentally, is all the average young person can follow anything. If you say, Bobby, come here, that's all they can take in. That's why they don't remember what you tell them to do. Bobby, come here. And he's already twittering somewhere. Remember there was a crash a few days ago of a train where a lot of people died? And you remember the engineer was a certifiable, we don't know what, a nut job, a whack job, we figured? Well, it comes out today he was a nut job. He had online rants that I'll read to you. Oh, yeah. So here's another one I want to get to today. Fecal matter on plane tray tables, unwashed blankets, and 80 million bacteria on suitcases. The dirty secrets of air travel revealed. Cabin crew staff reveal what really goes on in seating areas. That airline cleaners often don't have time to thoroughly sanitize planes between journeys. And here's another one for you. Fecal matter is present on 26% of hands in the United Kingdom. Thank God I was banned. I don't know what the percentage is in America. It could be 126%. I'm a hand washer. I am they call that a neurosis, by the way, if you're a hand washer. It's actually a religion in my family. I was raised by my father. The minute he left his market, he would wash his hands. Came home, he took his shoes off, which is sane, by the way, and then washed his hands. Wouldn't let me eat dinner unless I washed my hands with soap and water. I raised my children the same way. You know, I did a study on health once, and aside from all the other factors worldwide, now worldwide is the issue, you know the number one factor in health is hygiene. Hand washing alone could eliminate an awful lot of disease. I know it's like, you laugh at it. In the America of today, I think it's considered, like in the DSM, it's considered a mental disorder if you wash your hands. They give you a pill for it to make sure you don't wash your hands and you're like an average American with dirty fecal matter on your fingernails. I wash my hands continuously. So parents often change babies' diapers on plain tray tables, it turns out. Did you know that? You know those little tables you pull down that you eat on? Yeah. You may eat from the tray table on an aeroplane, but would you still do so if you knew the person sat there before you had changed their baby's diaper on it? And would you even think about just how dirty your luggage is? Do you ever think about that? You schlep your luggage through a dirty, filthy, disgusting airport, then onto an airplane, touched by criminals and gangsters, rifling through it to see if they can find a gold coin in it. And then you get it again, another roll down the cart, then you roll it. Then you get it home and put it on your bed to unpack it. Have you any idea what you're putting on your bed as you unpack it? The average person carries over 10 million bacteria on their hands. Oh, God. Now, I don't want to get carried away with this because the fact of the matter is the body has a natural immune system that can usually fight off most bugs. But with the age of superbugs, you better be a little more careful than you were. How about that blanket you're snuggling up to? Ugh. Do you use blankets on an airplane that they give you in those plastic bags? I don't. I mean, perhaps there was someone with tuberculosis from a foreign nation there before you laid your head on it. How do you know? Flight attendant Sarah Kegel says that in her airline's economy class, freshly washed blankets and pillows are only supplied to the first flights of the day. How about the airplane toilet? Ugh, I hate that. But what are you going to do on a 5-hour flight? I don't know. I'm on pins and needles when I go in there. But it's a cesspool. The lavatory is a microcosm of everything filthy on the planet. Ugh. The 5th hour into a flight from Miami, forget about it. 855-407-282. By the way, people are calling now on the book Countdown to Mecca with all sorts of reports that they can't get the book here, they can't get the book there. It's a great book. This is the last day I'm going to talk about it. It's not that I've given up on it. It's enough already. You want to buy it, buy it. You don't want to buy it, don't buy it. I hope you buy it. It's a great book. It's the last of the trilogy. It will be a collector's item. And for those of you who have abuse of power and a time for war, this is it. It's the trilogy. So play a little B.B. King. The phone number is 855-407-282. We will talk about filth on airplane. I want to ask you about airplane filth horror stories. Wait, before you play B.B. Airline filth horror stories. What's the dirtiest thing you've ever encountered on an airplane? Hold nothing back. Make believe we're in a bar somewhere and I asked you this across a beer. What is the filthiest thing you've ever seen on an airplane? Is George Staphylococcus too glib to fail? That's a funny line. I mean, George Staphylococcus, you know that's going to stick. It's over now. I have a way with names. Sometimes I name a media person or a politician something, and that's it for the rest of their career. For example, I'll give you two examples. I better be careful here. There's a local host. I don't particularly dislike him. He once urinated in my hat when I was a local host. I think it was him. I'm not sure. I had a certain kind of a hat from Australia that was a signature hat of mine in the early days. He was very jealous of me because I was making waves and he was there for a long time. So I came into my little cubicle once and there was urine in it. I got very angry. So I named him Mr. Softy after that. And Mr. Softy failed in radio. You know, he's still around, schlepping around, wearing the same shirt he wore the first day of broadcast. But the name Mr. Softy stuck with him. I mean, there are other names that I've made up that have never gone away. And I guarantee you that George Staphylococcus is it. You know it's not going to disappear from the airwaves. Okay, let's, what is this wash hand? Oh, they're calling about hand washing. What is that called? Oh, yeah, I remember there was a joke. Are you a hand washer? They used to joke about guys who would wash their hands. You know, I could get into some pretty good details here about sex and hand washing if you'd like me to, but it's a family show. But if you're paying attention to me, let me make a recommendation. Before you have sex, do wash your hands with soap and water. How's that? Notice I said before you have sex. Can you figure out why? Would it also follow that after you have sex, you should wash your hands? Does anyone not know basic hygiene in America today? No, they don't. They know nothing. WABC, Sarah, go ahead, please. You're on the Savage Nation.
Hello?
Sarah, yeah, go ahead. Make your point. Fire away. Quick. This is a great setup call. Thanks, Jim, for screening her. See? And the other one going to try. Why don't you try to set me up today? Go ahead. Try to get me with setup calls. See if I care. Do you have any idea that I'm too glib to fail? Okay, let's try another one. WBAP in Dallas. John, let's see if you're more sincere than Sarah from wherever you are. Go ahead, please.
Well, the other morning when I saw the unfolding of the train crash in Philadelphia, I couldn't help but think of that passage you read in your book by Saul when he talked about how in his business, as soon as if he messed up and something went wrong, he was held accountable immediately, and you implied fatally. Whereas this guy, this engineer, right or wrong, the first people that come out and spoke for him was his attorney, was his union, just as Saul said. These union people...
Oh, my character, the Jewish gangster, Saul, who says that as a gangster, if he screws up, that's it. Whereas the reason America's collapsing is because everyone's got protection through a union or a lawyer. No responsibility, right?
I had immediately when I heard of his attorney speaking that he didn't remember anything and he's going to speak, but not today. But he may talk later. He
dummied him up like a gangster before the House of Un-American Activities Committee. Right away, the lawyer said the engineer remembers nothing. How could the guy remember nothing? He survived the crash, and there's about 8 to 10 dead and 200 or more wounded. Injured, rather, for life. What, he doesn't remember how it happened?
Saul would have been taken care of.
Saul? Let me read you Saul. I'm going to read Saul. I don't have time. Not me. It's the risk I like. Every day's a gamble, said Saul, the gangster. When I succeed, I make money. Those around me make money. But if I screw up, I'm a dead man. Those guys in the unions, they screw up. They got strength in numbers. Even when someone makes a mistake and people die because of that mistake, like an air traffic controller who takes a personal call when he should be watching planes, he's got an organization that insulates him, pads the fall. I got none of that. I'm rewarded for what I do, or I have to answer for it. You too, Jack, you've got personal responsibility. What we're doing now is about personal responsibility. That used to be the American way. It was done during World War II when the government worked with the Italian gangsters to find who was sabotaging ships docked on the East River. And let me tell you something else, Hatfield. In 20 years, you're going to see the recruitment of white Aryan nation types by whites in gated communities to protect themselves from the armies of Obama's spawn. That's a monologue, page 23 of Countdown to Mecca. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE.